Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Trace Anime Podcast. Episode Trace of the Trace Anime Podcast. I am Zeolith.
This is the Black Pearl.
And we're here today to chat about some noir dramas from the 1940s. Just kidding. We're here to talk about anime.
No, today we're talking about... all three movies have a common theme, I'd say.
What is that?
Depressing.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's fire our way right into it. First up, we have Wolf Children.
There's something I have to tell you.
I'm listening. My mother knew the world was full of mysteries, but his heart wasn't one of them. Mom gave birth to me in that tiny apartment they called home, bringing me into the world as the snow fell outside. The following spring, my little brother was born.
Your daddy was special. He was truly one of a kind. If you could only be one thing, would you be people or wolves? I want you to have that choice.
Directed by Mamoru Hosoda, who, coincidentally, it turns out, without ever setting out on a mission to see most of his movies, I've actually seen most of his movies without ever really kind of knowing who he is. Going briefly into his history, he's an animator for Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon on TV, like a lot of up-and-coming anime people. Now, this is an interesting little link to our last episode of Trace Anime Podcast. He worked as an animator for something called Galaxy Express 39 Eternal Fantasy. I guess a sequel to Galaxy Express 39, or a remake, or a spin-off. I don't fucking know.
Guess it's something we'll have to check out.
Yeah, that can be on the list for one day. Now, this is where it gets a little more interesting. He directed one episode of the Digimon TV show, and I want to see if you remember specifically this episode. It's the episode of the first season, the first series, where for one episode, Tai accidentally goes back to the real world, and the animation is like really good for some reason, and he's like looking into his sister, and they're getting like chased around by like... I can't remember who's chasing him around, but...
Yeah, no, I totally remember the animation.
I don't remember the details of the episode's plot exactly, but I remember, like, even us watching it, like, years ago and being like, why is the animation of this episode really good? This is weird. But then he moved over, he hopped from that, logically, to Digimon the movie. Yep. Which I'll admit I didn't really think much of as a film. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I did, long time ago.
It's kind of like, it worked better as a TV show. But then, he did The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Summer Wars, The Boy and the Beast, something I haven't seen yet called Mirai. It's like my one missing gap. But then this one, Wolf Children, I believe between Summer Wars and Boy and the Beast, he did this one. It was released in 2012 in Japan and 2013 in the USA and the rest of the world.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so you want to maybe give a real quick sum up of kind of the basics of the plot of Wolf Kids?
I mean, it says it right there in the title.
Wolf Chillins.
Wolf Children.
Wolf Kiddos.
Wolf Kiddos.
So what's going on?
Pups.
What's going on in Wolf Babies?
The story is told through the daughter. Mom and dad meet. Dad is part of some kind of changeling. He's a wolf. I don't want to say necessarily he's a werewolf.
Yeah, because I don't think it's strictly linked to the full moon or anything. No. And also, he doesn't like lose control and murder when he becomes a wolf.
Yeah, he just shifts whenever he wants to.
It's like a real subtle shift, too. It's not like, the classic werewolf is like, Argh!
It's like painful.
For him, it's just like, he just like pans away and like, oh, I'm a wolf now.
I'm a wolf now,
It's like a real subtle change, like that one bit I like in the first Conan the Barbarian, where the music's like, was the da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun, da-da-da, and it just like cuts away from Thulsa Doom, and then just cuts back. There's no like, there's no train, just cuts back to him, and he's a snake now.
And just yet the tune is still playing.
This is the same way. It's just like he's a human. He's a wolf now. He's a wolf now. He's wolf now. All right. So what Hana, her name is.
Yes.
And what's his name, Pearl?
Guys, after this movie had ended, I asked what his name was.
I think you asked during it. You're like, what's this guy's name again?
I don't know.
And I was like, I don't know. We'll just call him the father.
That's what.
Then I Google it. I'm reading the synopsis, and they're like, the father, unnamed. And I'm like, oh.
Jim.
Jim.
We're just gonna call him Jim.
Not a Japanese name, just Jim.
Well, okay, you pick it then.
Shigeru. Anyway, so
No.
so we got lady, human lady, and Wolfman dad, and then what do they get up to?
Well, they meet in school. Like, she's going to school.
It's like a college student, right?
Yes.
I believe college.
And then she, like, meets him, and they, like, become friends. We learn about some of her past, I guess, or whatever. And, you know, they fall in love. Then we find out that he's a wolf. No shocker there. Then they get intimate.
They do it. Now, if I recall correctly, they do it when he's in wolf form.
Yeah.
It's a little kinky. It's a little interesting.
It's a deal breaker for me.
I do like it a lot of times in anime, though. Like, we'll discuss this actually later when we discuss another film in this podcast. Sometimes they never actually show the characters getting together. This time they're like, no, they fucking.
Jesus Christ.
We got this love story. Do you wonder if they'll actually? Oh yeah, they're fucking. We're about to show that they're gonna be fucking.
God. I'm sorry, guys. I just can't stop.
So what happens after that?
Of course, you know what happens when you have unprotected sex. You get pregnant. First the daughter is born, and then the son.
Oh yeah, he's like a year younger.
Yeah,
or something.
he's little.
Okay, he's a little younger.
So she gets pregnant. We see her kind of going through, like, you know, pregnancy. She's very sick. Like, you know, you get morning sickness when you're pregnant, but, like, this is, like, times 100, because she's, like, not even wanting to get up. And so he eventually goes and gets, like, a pheasant and makes some kind of soup.
Goes a little hunting.
And then they had their daughter at home. They did not take her to the hospital because they were scared that
she would be a wolf.
She'd be like some puppy, and they'd be like, "What the hell was that?"
And her name is Yuki. So then they stay in their apartment in the city for a while, but then, they pop out another one. Ame, right? And then what happens?
Oh God, this was like a heartbreaking scene. Okay, they come back. The groceries are there, and Dad is missing. And I guess, what would you call it? Like, I want to say the arroyos, but it's like a sewer line?
Yeah, I just think of it as a river, but not like a river, like a little river under a concrete bridge in a city, you know?
So the city officials find a wolf dead.
So what happened to him exactly? I mean,
I don't honestly know. It was just like, oh, he's dead.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a person killed him. I don't think they were implying.
Where they were at too, it was like there was no cars necessarily. Like, it was more a walking area.
Yeah, and I think he'd be good enough to avoid. He's not like an animal, so I don't think he'd get hit by a car.
Maybe a flash flood.
Yeah, or just like
because it was raining.
Fell and drowned. It was all a little ambiguous, but yeah, she finds him and. She finds him dead in the fucking, like, ditch.
And she's got the kids, and it's raining, and she's crying, and, of course, you know, nobody really understands because they think she's just crying because it's a wolf, and, oh, you know, but really it's her husband. It's the kid's dad.
And she can't just explain, it's like, so I'm married to this wolf.
You can't really, like, don't take the body.
It's a bit weird, but... So then she's staying in the city for a little bit, but then, like, her kids are all like, howl!
They're howling, they're making a mess, they're chewing, typical, like, dog things.
They're switching from, like, human form to wolf form, kind of back and forth.
When Yuki throws a temper tantrum, she turns into a wolf. Ame's a little bit more quiet. He's actually the weaker of the two.
He's shy.
And he was a little sickly at first, too.
I think I recall that. But and then then there's like people knocking on the door, all like, your kids are unvaccinated.
Which, you know, I didn't know that, you know, they kept documents like that.
I guess so. And they haven't been to school, and they're noise complaints, and it's just a mess all around.
At one point, Yuki eats a silica packet, you know, those little packets that you find that are keeping things like fresh.
Those little gel thingies.
Yes. And so
it's pretty tempting. It's the original Tide Pod. Great snack.
And there's like a moment there where mom is trying to decide, okay, do I take my kid to the veterinarian, or do I take him to a human hospital? And then she eventually, I think, calls the human hospital. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, she calls them, but she doesn't go in, I don't think.
No, she was like, my kid ate a silica packet.
And then she's like, this ain't gonna work.
And she threw up.
Then they roll out to the fucking like countryside, like middle of nowhere. Well, not really the middle of nowhere. They do kind of have neighbors, but like
they're like way off.
Yeah, like they say. I think they say in the movie like the neighbor is a mile away. I think
it's kind of the neighbors you would want to have, like if you were like wanting to be alone.
It's a big kind of like messy. It's like a big wooden, like real dusty and dirty on the inside house, like in the middle of like these farmlands and marshes and stuff. And this part kind of reminded me actually a little bit of when they first come across the house in My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah.
I thought there was a little bit of Ghibli influence there. Definitely kind of not quite ripping it off, but definitely like inspired by it, I think. Kind of very similar sort of scene.
That is a fun scene. Those two little girls running around.
Yeah, and it kind of mirrors here because we got two little kids kind of checking things out too. Pretty similar, I think. Mm-hmm. And one thing I did like about, well, this part and earlier is there's a lot of kind of, we'll talk about a movie later that had kind of somewhat obnoxious music video sequences. This one I think had pretty nice kind of subtle music video sequences. Like there'd just be a music montage, not like dialogue, but of like the kids growing up, them cleaning the house, working the farm, like, and there'd just be like these little like few minute like musical sequences that kind of like passed like a year or something in kind of a little montage. And I thought it was pretty well done in this movie. I liked the little musical sequences. It was good visual storytelling, I thought. But so she's having a little trouble with the farm at first though. She buys some books. Guess she doesn't have like Wikipedia on her phone or something. I don't know. She's getting farming books and she's blowing it. Every plant is dying.
And then we've got old man. How do you say that?
I think it's Nirasaki, but I think we just both think of him as the old man.
Or grumpy old man.
Well, he's like one of those grumpy guys with a secret heart of gold. He's like, I don't want you around here, woman.
Damn kids.
And he's like, no, don't be bothering me. Don't be on my farm.
What you doing on that ground?
But then he comes back and he's like, this is how you plant this. This is how you do it. Just do it like this. Cut this in half, plant it here, pour water on it in 12 hours. And she's like, thank you. And he's like, don't thank me.
And then what was interesting, too, is that other people from the village were also starting to help, planting, like, tea and other vegetables and stuff.
Oh, and then they have, like, a whole, like, vegetable exchange program going on.
It's like a farmer's share
It's like a mini communist community, basically. They're swapping around, and there's one scene where one of our friends sees... I think it's Yuki in wolf form, but thinks it's Yuki's pet dog. He's like, what kind of dog is that?
Yeah, and Yuki was purposely doing it. You could tell she's doing it on purpose.
Mm-hmm. But one thing I will say, well, we'll get back to the old man a little bit later. I'll get back to that at the end. But yeah, then we just kind of settle into a bit of a groove there, and kind of what we kind of establish is Yuki is the fiercer one at this point. She's more in tune with her wolf side, and Ame is a little more shy. I think there's even a scene where he's talking to his mom. I think it might have been under a tree or something like that. And he's like, can't I just be a human or something?
Yes.
So we kind of have that role established. Then they go running through the snow, right?
Yes.
Like way far out in the snow, and like no one's properly dressed for the occasion.
No,
I think
definitely not.
Doesn't mom throw on some kind of a jacket or something?
First I thought it was a bathrobe with a scarf.
Kind of what it looks like.
And then it turns out she was wearing a jacket, and the kids are like running around.
Not a thick jacket.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
And the kids are naked. The kids are naked because they go in wolf form and all their clothes fly off. But then they like turn back into human for a little bit, and they're just like naked in like probably the 10-degree snow. And like this is not good parenting. Maybe the people trying to barge in the apartment had a point.
Was it like CPS?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then Ame is trying to catch like some freaking like bug or something and falls in like the frozen river, and he's like freezing to death. Then Yuki saves him, right?
Yes.
For a second we thought it was going to be like the old man saving him or something like that.
Yeah, it felt like at first.
That's one actually real kind of problem I have with the movie, is that the old man kind of disappears. It feels like in the second half I felt like they kind of built the character up and then never quite paid him off. It was kind of, I wanted to like see his reaction finding out about the wolf children, but we never got it. So that was a little bit of a bummer, I thought.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess this is more kind of like a small character. It's one of those situations where I thought from the way he was introduced, he was going to be more of a main character, but I guess it's kind of like just a supporting character. But then we cut ahead a little ways. We go to kind of like middle school age, I guess, at least for Yuki.
So Yuki starts going to school, and then Ame starts kind of going to school, but he doesn't really want to go to school because after that incident in the river and him getting hit in the head with a rock, it kind of changed his whole demeanor.
He becomes a little more in tune with his wolf side.
Yes.
But now, so Yuki, she goes and meets some girls at school, and she's all trying to like give them animal skulls and all kinds
Things
of
she likes, but then she's
gross stuff, and they keep like,
and she realizes that she has to kind of fake it till you make it.
She gets like some more pretty feminine clothes and that kind of thing.
Yes.
And so now we start to see kind of a role reversal going on. We start to see Ame becoming more the wolf and Yuki more the human. What did you think of this kind of role switch?
That's interesting. It was a very interesting take, because I always thought Yuki would just be it, but I guess she wanted to be a girl. She wanted to be, she wanted to grow up.
Yeah, and kind of sometimes you're a late bloomer in certain ways.
Yes.
Sometimes like a tomboy will grow up to become a feminine girl or vice versa. So I guess kind of reflecting that in sort of a supernatural werewolfy type way. So Yuki meets this boy, Sohei, I believe his name is.
Yes.
And he's all like chasing her, and to be honest, I'm not even quite sure why. He's like just chasing her through the schoolyard.
He's like brand new, and first he's like, you smell like a dog.
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
It's like, well, what the fuck, man? Hello to you too.
Rude.
And then she like doesn't like that comment, and she's like trying to avoid him, and he just keeps harassing her.
He does.
And I didn't understand that either.
Yeah, because there's like a scene in like the courtyard, and thankfully no one else is around at the time, and he's just like, he's full on like pursuing her. It's like you could play like some Halloween like theme song, like dee. He's like he won't leave her alone.
And that's another common theme with the next movie too, about someone who's just there, just to be there.
That's true. But then she accidentally switches to wolf mode for just a second and claws him.
She claws his ear.
Claws his ear. Now it's kind of implied that maybe he didn't know what was going on, but it kind of turns out that I guess he did. He saw what happened, and he was surprisingly calm about it. And then, of course, his mom is a total Karen. Is like, I want this girl to be in so much trouble.
Get her out of here.
So, but then he's like, a wolf did it, and no one's like, is there a fucking wolf in the school courtyard?
Nobody.
In the enclosed school courtyard.
Nobody batted an eye. They're just like, okay.
The wolf, fucking wolf did it. I mean, he's kind of telling the truth in a sense, I guess, but so then they become pretty close.
Yep.
I don't know if they're like dating or anything, but he's like
just friends.
Wants to like walk her to school and bring her homework and that kind of shit, So that's nice, I guess. That's nice. It's kind of like sort of feels like almost like different movies in a sense. Like feels like we watched like one movie that's about like the mom and the dad, then like a second movie is kind of like the early childhood coming up through the farm.
Yeah. And
that was one that kind of had like the old man and the neighbors and stuff in it. Now we're introducing these new characters like in the elementary school, or is it early middle school? I can't remember, but it's almost like a whole different movie because now we're like focusing more on the kids and the moms. So we're sort of like we're switching between sets of characters, sort of like inconsistent and not necessarily in a bad way. It's not really a short movie. It's a good 2 hours. It's it's full feature length, but I didn't feel like it dragged really because there's always pretty different stuff going on.
Yeah. Then
there's like a big like rainstorm out of nowhere.
Yes.
What's that about?
Well, I would say it probably has something to do with Weathering with You.
Well, I don't think this one's set in the same universe.
You don't know that.
It's different animation style.
You don't know that. Anyway, big old rainstorm hits.
Big ass rainstorm. Actually, we should mention one other thing. The Ame has a friend too. It's the sensei.
Oh, it's a fox.
He's a fox who lives in the forest.
Who's like showing him the ropes, basically.
He's like, this is how you be an animal. Then Ame just comes back after like the sensei's been in one scene. Is like the sensei is dying. I'm like, whoa, that was a quick turnaround.
Yeah, that was a quick turnaround.
Couldn't get like 2 scenes with the sensei maybe.
Now, before the storm hits, Ame does say something a little bit, I don't know, is cryptic the right word? Where he's just like, you should stay home today, to Yuki.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, I'm going to school. See you later.
They were being a little more dramatic about it than I thought. Like, the way they were talking about it, I thought like the whole world was going to flood. But really, Yuki and Sohei just waited in school and they seemed fine.
Yeah, they were fine.
It's like not like the school flooded and everyone drowned or anything. They just stood around and it was okay.
Yeah.
I even like, so Hana goes looking in the mountains for Ame. And even she's like she does get in trouble, but it's not because she's like about to drown. It's because she keeps slipping and like falling down.
She almost got eaten by a bear. God damn it.
If she had just stayed home, she would have been fine too.
But she didn't want to do that. She wanted Ame not to do this.
And Ame would have been fine.
And she was like in total denial. And then at one point, she like slips so hard that like she passes out, knocks herself out.
She sees.
And I thought she was dead.
Oh God.
I was like, oh, well, mom's dead.
And she sees the father. This is Peter McAllister, the father.
She sees her late husband. He's like, you did good. And she's like, I did the best that I could.
Yeah, she did okay. I mean, I won't pretend it was perfect, but you know.
How would you handle that?
I don't know. I guess I just give them to the pound. Be like, here are my dogs.
But they won't always be dogs.
Well, speaking of one thing she is maybe not quite right at, she took, I think it was Ame to the, like a animal sanctuary. It was like, here, wolf, talk to this wolf. And the wolf's just like, I'm a fucking wolf. What do you...
She's like, my son is the wolf. Help us.
But then again, I guess he could talk to the sensei, and I guess the sensei was just a fox, so maybe he can't talk to animals. But then so Ame decides to go full wolf. 100% wolf.
Yep.
All the time wolf. He's like, he gets fully naked. He's like a wolf. Not even like a human-looking wolf, just a straight-up animal. And he goes wandering off in the mountains.
And he's like, I gotta do what I gotta do, Mom. So, you know, bye-bye. Just bye-bye. And then he was gone. Now, Yuki, on the other hand, revealed herself. That sounds so wrong.
It's not really inaccurate.
You laughing about it, that doesn't help me either. She changes. Oh God, it just doesn't work. Okay, anyway.
She shows Sohei her private form. Her private face.
I don't know if that's the right word either.
She doesn't go full wolf because she still has her clothes on and stuff.
She shows like her face.
Her wolf face. And so he's like, that's cool.
He's like,
yeah.
I won't tell anybody. And I'm like, if it was me, I'd be like, you better not, you little shit, or I'm gonna fuck up your other ear. Sorry.
But anyway, so yeah, they're fine, but I don't know. But then it doesn't like say that he went to the school she went to at the end of the movie or anything.
She went to like a girls' school. Yeah,
so I guess Sohei, you're out. You're never gonna get that pussy.
Don't. I guess they went to separate schools. And Hana still lives in that house, and she hears her son howling, and you know, that's about it. And she's just kind of accepted this life.
But yeah, that pretty much sums up the gist of the movie. What did you think of it overall? Kind of your thoughts.
I thought it was good. It was like a coming of age story.
Yeah, just some kind of a young coming of age, not like, older high school coming of age.
Yeah.
Kind of almost maybe in a certain way a coming of age for Hana, because we start out she can't be that much older than like 20 or something.
Yes.
Because she's like going to these college lectures, so I guess we age her into like her 30 or early 30s or something like that. So it's kind of like a slightly older than usual coming of age story for her, and then a slightly younger one for the children.
Yes.
But yeah, it works pretty good, I think. There was one scene where the kids both turn into wolves, and they're fighting all through the house and just tearing up everything and knocking everything over. I was thinking if I was Hana there, I'd be like, you're sleeping in the yard tonight. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
She just starts cleaning up. She's very tolerant mom, or very beat down mom.
It's a little bit of both, actually.
But I did like the farming scenes in the middle of the movie. I thought that was good. I was almost in a way disappointed when we moved on from that to going to school.
Yeah.
Because every anime's in school, but not every anime's on a farm. But so it was alright. Yeah, I definitely had a positive impression of it as well. I thought that maybe the whole rainstorm thing at the end came kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like normally if you're going to end a movie like that, you might hint at it a little more through the course of the movie. But in this case, just like suddenly, just out of nowhere, like, this is the biggest rainstorm ever. I'm like,
right,
oh,
yeah.
Oh, is it? Where'd that come from? Whatever you say, movie. But other than that, I thought it was good. I liked, like we said, the role reversal with the kids, and the relationship between Hana and the Wolfman father is pretty good. And got a little tragedy, there's a little humor in there, raising the kids, a little family drama, some supernatural mischief. So overall, I thought the rainstorm thing was a little weird, and I didn't like so much the old man disappeared like in the middle of the movie, because I thought that he's a pretty good character, but pretty much everything else I liked pretty well.
All right.
Yeah. And do you have any particular thoughts about the dub? Did anything stand out to you? And the English dub, anything stand out in a good or bad way to you?
No, everything seemed fine.
Yeah, pretty solid.
It was pretty solid.
It wasn't like the Ghibli thing where they bring in celebrities to voice act, which is like, your anime voice actors.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Everything was good enough to me, which pretty much by the time you get to movies at this time, they're pretty professional about the whole operation. They get the dubbing job done, which is kind of sad because sometimes you love the terrible dubs of old.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, this wasn't a terrible dub. It was all perfectly competent. So yeah, any other thoughts on Wolf Children, or does that sum it up?
Animation was lovely.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good all the way through.
Especially a lot of the forest scenes. They were
Yeah,
pretty.
I thought all the farming stuff was really well done visually. Some of the school stuff a little more generic looking, but the farm stuff I was all, this is nice. And like I said, I think there was definitely a little bit of Totoro influence in there. So yeah, overall I'd give it a thumbs up.
I also would give it a thumbs up.
All right, you ready to move on to our next movie?
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it.
All right, next up we have A Silent Voice. This was directed by Naoko Yamada, I believe the first female director we've talked about here on Trace Anime Podcast, and she was an animator and director for a whole bunch of anime TV shows and movies I hadn't really heard of. One she made after this, I believe, is called Liz and the Bluebird. Looks like it's about like high school band or something like that, so maybe we could check that out too. And this was released 2016 in Japan, 2017 in the USA, and everywhere else. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what A Silent Voice is about, Pearl?
Basically, it is about a kid named Shoya, who I don't want to pinpoint and say he was the main one, because there was a group of them that bullied a girl that is deaf.
Shoko. She was a new student.
She was a new student, and she was deaf, and of course, she had a cute little notebook that she wanted everyone to communicate with her, and it was fun for like 5 minutes, and then everybody started to be kind of really mean to her.
Well, I think maybe Shoya started it because
kind of instigated
it. They were reading in class, right? And the teacher's not the best.
Oh my god, the teacher's the worst.
Well, anyway, they're all reading in class, and so he has her read, and she's reading like the deaf kind of way, not quite right. And then he's like, okay, Shoya, you read now, and Shoya gets up and he goes, rah, 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 rah. And everyone laughs.
Oh my god.
Right. And so people laugh, but then some people get bored of like bullying Shoko, but Shoya just keeps at it.
This movie is about bullying and suicide. Those are the two things, and they go
and redemption.
And they all go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. We start almost with, we don't start with a suicide attempt. We start with
he was preparing.
Shoya was thinking about it.
He was like, this is the bridge I'm going to jump off of.
But he doesn't go through with it.
And he doesn't go through with it. His mother busts him.
This is 5 years after the bullying, but then he doesn't just make fun of her voice. He throws her notebook in the water. He tears her hearing aids out. What do they say in the movie? 8 times or something like that?
Jesus Christ. Do you know how expensive those things are? Those are really expensive. I don't have an exact pinpoint price, but it's a tiny piece of equipment, and they're probably hundreds of dollars.
Oh jeez. And then one time he tears it out so hard that it cuts her earlobe.
She's bleeding and everything. Now, keep in mind, like I said, it's not only Shoya.
Oh yeah, there's also a girl with black hair, Naoka.
Ugh, go away.
She's teasing her too, and he kind of has a couple of friends. I didn't Can't remember their names. I didn't write them down. But he's has
some blonde kid,
a couple
some
of
fat
friends,
kid.
following him around. But almost everyone else gets bored with the bullying, and he keeps at it. And then one time he goes into the classroom, and she's wiping off his desk or something, like someone wrote something on it. And then he's like shoving her, and then she like gets on top of him and starts like hitting him.
Before all that happens, keep in mind that the reason why he started becoming a target is because after he had ripped out that hearing aid and she's bleeding everywhere, I guess she didn't come to class. Remember, she didn't come to class. And they were like, hey, like, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And the teacher was like, Shoya, get up. We know it was you. And he's like, but it wasn't the only one.
And the teacher didn't exactly do a good job managing the situation either.
Which is interesting. He just kind of watched it, and then he was like, okay, well, I'm just
like,
whatever. I want to go drink my coffee, whatever. Fuck all of you. And, as we're seeing, there's like a little montage of like, okay, she wants to teach the kids sign language, how to communicate, and nobody wanted to do it except for this one girl.
This is like a couple, one or two did.
And this one girl was there, and then she like disappeared, and then eventually, Shoya got bullied, and he was pushed in the fountain, and he had the issues.
But then also, because he'd had to, Shoya's mom had to go and pay Shoko's mom for the hearing aids, and they go to like encounter each other. And then Shoya's mom comes back with her ear bleeding like all over her shirt, and we're like, what happened there?
Turns out, Shoko's mom doesn't fuck around.
She gets in.
She gets in and she gets dirty.
She's throwing slaps. She's ripping out earrings.
We didn't see it. You don't see it, but it is implied, and it's very implied. Like bleeding ear.
Oh yeah, you prominently see the bloody ear and the bloody shirt,
and you're just like, and she's like, everything's gonna be okay now. And if it was me, I'd feel like, you owe me big time, kid, for what I just did.
But anyway, then Shoko gets transferred out of school because of all the bullying. And then I guess the bullying switches over to Shoya.
Yep.
Because he was the worst of it. Then we kind of cut ahead 5 years to high school, right?
Yeah, and he said during, when he was going through middle school, before he even, like, walked in the door, everybody knew that he was the asshole. And they're like, oh, don't talk to him. He like bullied this deaf girl, and you're like, whatever, dude, you did it.
So now Shoya's depressed, and he sees a blue X over everyone's face.
He just kind of has tuned everybody out. He just doesn't like blocks everybody's faces. He doesn't really make eye contact.
So then he kind of goes on a journey of redemption. I guess the first thing he tries to do is first he tries to go directly to first he gets a job. And he makes a bunch of money, and then he leaves it for his mom to pay back for the hearing aids before he's going to kill himself.
Oh, no, and then
his mom threatens to light it on fire if he kills himself, so he can't, but then she accidentally does anyway. It was a lot, too. I think we did the math, and it was like close to like $20,000 or something like that.
It was a lot of money, and it was ridiculous.
Then he goes straight to Shoko, right, to try to give the notebook back, but she's not too into it at that point.
Yes, she's a little scared.
And then so there's this little chubby boy with broccoli hair boy, Tomohiro, and someone's bullying Tomohiro, right, trying to get him to give him his bike.
Yes.
So then Shoei's like, here, take my bike. And then they steal his bike, of course, but then Broccoli Boy goes and gets the bike back.
Which is so sweet.
And gives it to Shoya, then the X falls off his face. And then they're like best friends. It's like, do you ever see Step Brothers? Do we just become best friends? Especially that.
Yes.
So then they're like best friends, and then he goes back to Shoko again, and this time she does. They like feed fish together.
Yes. He also has been taking sign language classes.
Yeah, so he's pretty okay at it now. He can kind of follow along.
He does ask to slow down because I have seen people who've done sign language. It can get very complicated very fast.
And Shoko can read lips too.
Yes.
Oh, there's one actually. We should mention another character comes in the mix here. Is let me look where I wrote down the name. Yuzuru, and this one's a little confusing because so they go to meet Shoko at the school, and what we thought was
yeah.
a little girl shows up, right?
I was like, oh, is that a girl?
Clearly seems to be a little girl, and she's like, you can't talk to Shoko. She's my girlfriend. And we're like, oh, Shoko's lesbian. That's cool. That's, more power to you, Shoko. And then says like, you're Shoko's boyfriend, right? And we're like, that's a boy?
Yeah, where I was like,
that's a little girl, isn't it? All right, okay. And then so Yuzuru goes and hangs out at Shoya at his house. It's like having dinner there with his parents, with his mom, I think, right?
Yes.
They're like hanging out in his like room or whatever. Then they're walking home to Yuzuru's home. And then when they get there, Yuzuru's like, I'm Shoko's sister. And I'm like, oh.
And that's when he sees mom, too.
Oh, so you are a girl. So that was a little weird. Oh, and then mom just walks up and slaps him, right?
And she's like, stay away from my family.
So that was a little weird that, like, it's a girl. Oh, no, it's a boy.
It's a
girl. It's a girl.
It's a girl.
I don't know if that came across better in the Japanese version or something. I don't know. That was a little kind of like, wait, what?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So,
yes.
But moving on with that. So then as he starts to hang out more with Shoko, and I don't know, is there like a point where they transition from like just friends to dating? It's hard to say.
It's very hard to say.
Because there is a part where she's like, I love you, but she says it like deaf. She's like, I love you. And then he can't understand. He's like, what?
He's like, something about the moon?
So it's like, are they dating or just friends? But hard to say because this isn't wolfgirl and we don't see the fucking scene this time around. But
it's very complicated.
I feel like they're definitely more than just friends. But
yes.
I don't know if they're official. But then the friend group starts to expand. They go and meet this girl Miyoko, who I think was the one who was trying to learn sign language in school.
Yes.
Now I don't know if she's totally innocent. I can't quite remember. I have to go back and look at the movie. Was she maybe laughing at first when Shoya was like doing the voice or something? Can't remember.
I can't tell you. I really can't.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I feel like almost everyone was. But then the friend group starts to expand more. We got Shoya and Shoko, of course.
Yes.
Broccoli boy, Miyoko. There's this other boy at school.
I don't even know. I just want to call him Jeff.
But then here's where it gets weird. And the little sister. And here's where it gets weird. Now, Naoka, the black-haired girl who was like
she's a slut.
who was like the worst bully besides Shoya, she comes back in and we're like, okay, she's part of the friend group too now. All right. But then Shoya is now goes up to Shoko with Naoka. And Naoka is just right, but she's grabbing the hearing aid. She's like, you stupid deaf girl. We're like, oh, you haven't grown up in 5 years.
No, she is mean. There's a part, remember, at the fair where they're in the
Ferris wheel. And she's like, I just want you to know I hate you. You ruined Shoya's life.
I hate you. You don't understand what we're going through. And then doesn't she hit her? Mm-hmm. Just this girl gets physical for no reason.
But then she just keeps hanging out with the group. I'm go away.
Here's the Olith. I can explain that one because I had to explain this lately to somebody else.
Sure, go on.
Okay, they like the high of whatever it is.
The drama.
So they literally, yes, they could walk away from the drama and live a happy life. But of course they won't. They want to get a fix. They want to tap that arm and get a fix because they like it. And then they go home and they sleep really well. It's really stupid. I really fucking hate it.
Yeah, she keeps hanging out with the group. And then then we get some more issues with the friend group because the one boy whose name I can't remember.
The blonde-haired one?
Yeah, something like... Oh, no, not the blonde. It's the one who's part of the new friend group who goes to the fair with them.
Oh, the one I keep calling Jeff now?
Yeah, he's like Miyoko's friend. He's like, who would bully a deaf girl? And then Miyoko, she full on rats show you out. She's like, he's the one who bullied her.
She's good at playing a victim. It wasn't me. I'm innocent. I would never do that. Bullshit.
And then there's a drama bomb scene on the bridge above the koi, right? Where just everyone starts showing up one by one. They're all like, you're the one who was the bully. You did it. And then Naoka shows up and she's throwing bombs.
The only one who is innocent in this entire group is Broccoli Hair Boy.
Well, in that particular scene, doesn't show you just sit down against the railing of the bridge. He's like, just shut up.
He's like, shut up. And that's fair. Everyone's yelling and screaming at each other. You can't get a thought in. You can't hear anybody else talk. shut up.
Just everyone's then...
Shut up.
And it's like, Naoka, get out of here. And Miyoko, you get out too.
Yeah.
Just all of you. And actually, everyone does pretty much. Then it's just back to Shoya and Shoko. And I'm like, this is fine. We don't need all those other people. Oh, and Yuzuru. So then they go back to the apartment, Shoka and her mom and Yuzuru's apartment. And they're like baking a cake. And Shoya's like, I think I should leave before your mom gets here. And they're like, nah, it's fine. And then mom comes and is like, "Ugh," but then it's fine.
And they're like, we baked you a cake. And she's like, okay, you can stay. That's it.
And she doesn't like it. And so here's where I'm going to be like, is Shoko going to be like, so this is my boyfriend? But
yeah.
So they never like label it officially in the movie, which I'm like, what's going on here with you two? But
it's complicated. Let's just say that. It's complicated. It's a complicated relationship.
I mean, do you think they're doing anything physical on the side that the movie isn't showing us? Or do you think it's not like that?
No, because it's super awkward when they encounter each other.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's, like, super awkward.
So they're not, like, making out on the side or anything, in your opinion?
I think, like, you can tell, like, okay, they're attracted to each other, but they don't know how to react very well to it because they're both dealing with, like, issues. Because keep in mind that Shoko is also depressed. I think that her hearing is starting to go at this point. Remember?
Oh, even a little bit?
Yeah, because there's that scene where they're like, I'm sorry, and then she's crying in her room, and she's been at the doctor's office. I think it's because she's starting to lose that ability to hear.
Even with the hearing aid?
Even with the hearing aid, because you know how, like, they can all sometimes hear. And then Grandma dies. Don't forget Grandma.
Oh, yeah, that was another weird bit, because remember before I was saying, oh, it's a girl. Oh, no, it's a boy. It's the girl. So, it's not, is it Shoko or Yuzuru who's hanging out with Grandma? Yuzuru is, right? And so then they, like, are hanging out in bed together, and Grandma shows Grandma, like with her eyes closed, her arms across her chest. We're like, is Grandma dead?
And she's like, oh, good night, Grandma.
Then just move on to the next scene, and we're like, oh, no, Grandma
died in her sleep.
And then they go to a funeral, like, oh, Grandma is dead.
Grandma is confirmed dead.
So Shoko's depressed because of that. She's depressed because of what Naoka said to her. Naoka, who keeps coming and hanging out with them. I remember one part there, they show the big shot of all the people together, and you're like, what a weird group of friends. I was like, that's true.
I have a weird group of friends. I'm not going to lie. I've always had a weird group of friends. In high school, it was just a cluster of friends. All different.
But was Naoka showing up and, like, being like, yeah, I hate you.
And here's the thing, Zeolith. In high school, we had a girl like that.
I hate you.
That was just, like, miserable, wanted to everybody else to know about it, and just wanted to, like, cause drama just to cause drama. Nobody likes people like that.
So they go to the fireworks show, right?
Yes.
And then Shoko goes and they're all it's Shoya, Shoko, Yuzuru, and
Mom.
Shoko's mom. They're all in a little blanket in the park watching the fireworks or whatever. So then Shoko goes wandering off, and Yuzuru's like, hey,
forgot my camera.
Shoya, go pick up my camera from the apartment. So then Shoya goes, and he sees that Shoko is on a balcony about to commit suicide.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, where'd this come from? I didn't think she was this depressed.
She did say she was hurting inside at one point.
I guess so, but it's like, I feel like now she has more friends than before, so it's kind of like, but I don't know. What do I know about it?
I guess she has that sense of burden, like she feels like she's a burden because of her disability.
Yeah, but that game was kind of random to me. I was like, whoa, this is a leap.
Yeah.
But anyway, but then, so it looks for a second like she's jumped because like a drape like floats across the window.
Yes.
Then it goes back and she's gone. And you're like, oh God, she did it. And she did, but Shoya got there just in time and grabbed her arm over the edge. So what do you think about this scene?
This was an intense scene because it kind of ended well and kind of didn't end well. Like nobody died per se,
except Grandma.
Except for Grandma, but someone got pretty injured.
Shoya falls down.
He falls into like a little river thing, like a pond.
So now I'm thinking if Shoko had jumped, maybe she wouldn't have died anyway, but still, we didn't know that right before she jumped.
We didn't know that, yeah. And so he's in the hospital, and he's in a coma.
A little bit of a coma. Fortunately, he doesn't seem to be, like, paralyzed. He's not full Jason Street.
No. And mom is coming to visit at the hospital, and Shoko and her mother and was
Yuzuru, that's the sister.
The sister, they are like doing the heavily apologizing. This is my fault. This is I was one who's trying to commit suicide. Like, it was my fault.
Well, Naoka, she has a thought on whose fault it is, so she pushes Shoko against the gate outside, and she's like, "This is your fault." And then she's about to slap Shoko when another hand comes in and hits.
It's Shoko's mom. Ding ding.
But unlike Shoya's mom or Shoya, who just took the slaps, now Naoka's hitting her back, and they're having a full-on chick fight right there in the hotel.
And Shoya's
the
mom
hospital.
stopped it. She's the one who stopped it.
So what do you think about the full-on chick fight?
Yo, I don't want to mess with Shoko's mom. Seriously.
She's pretty hardcore.
She is mean.
She'll throw it down with you.
She will throw hands.
Which is good, because Shoko, I think, definitely won't throw hands. Well, no, that's not true. She does when they're kids.
Yeah, but I think she kind of seemed like she instantly regretted it.
Plus, she doesn't even slap him. She's more like, doing that thing where you grab someone's shirt and you're shaking them. Whereas her mom gets full in.
Her mom is full on. Here comes a hand.
Swinging arms. So then Shoya, he comes out of the coma, goes back to school, and then Miyoko and Jeff, we're gonna call him, was that his name?
Sure,
they're all coming up and be like, we're friends now, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
It's like, are we though?
Get the fuck out of here.
Are we friends?
And then it gets worse. Then Naoka comes in and she's like, "Oh, look at you, bunch of pathetic losers."
And she learns a word in sign language. It's like moron. But here's the thing: is that has no redemption. Get out. Get the fuck out. There's the door. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Broccoli hair boy, you can come hang out with us.
You definitely can come hang out with us.
Miyoko and Jeff, we don't need you.
Get the hell out.
We don't need you.
I am done.
We don't need you.
And during the entire time during this movie, Zeolith could tell I was just getting more and more frustrated at the fact that Naoko just kept showing up. Ugh, go away.
She's showing up all the way till the end.
Go away.
Then it kind of ends pretty quietly, I guess. Really, they just kind of go to some kind of a little school festival, and
I don't think it was quietly because he was crying.
Oh yeah, but then the X's fall off everyone's face because he has friends now, but. Really, did any of the friends really matter except Shoko and Broccoli Boy?
Yeah, those are the only two that actually did matter.
And maybe to some extent the Yuzuru.
Yeah, that's about it.
So then they're just kind of hanging out at a little school festival, and that's it. Then the credits start, and I'm like, no kiss? No kiss?
No kiss.
The Disney movies do get one thing right. They always give us the kiss.
Yeah, I guess it was more of like a self-healing sort of situation. When the X's come off everybody's face, it's like he's accepting, he's kind of coming out of his depression, that sort of thing.
I understand that, but didn't you want one little smooch between the shows?
There are so many times during that movie that they could have kissed. Yes, I'm asking for that, but, it didn't happen. I'm sorry, Zeolith.
That's fair enough. Well, anyway, so yeah, that pretty much brings us to the end. Why don't you give your kind of general review then, your general thoughts?
I thought it was good, but I don't like bullying. It's just so depressing.
No one likes bullying.
Kids are mean to each other, and just to see a whole bunch of the extreme was when he was ripping the hearing aid out of her ear multiple times, and it was like, okay, we get it, haha. Okay, now you're just being physically aggressive. Now you're just being too much. And, shame on the teacher who was aware of it and didn't do anything. I'm pissed at him because he didn't do anything. He was the cool teacher, but then as soon as authorities got involved, it was like, oh yeah, it was so-and-so. And it's like, well, if you knew the entire time, you should have said something the entire time.
You're right. I was kind of thinking while watching this movie of it used to be a really common story arc back in, bear with me, I'm showing my old school TV geekiness here, back in shows on the WB network back in the early 2000s. There used to be a really common story arc they would all do where they would have your main teen character and then they would have a bully, and then the bully would always become their friend through the course of the show. So let me lay this out for you. Gilmore Girls, you got Rory. Her bully at school is Paris. But then through the show, they become friends, and then they're good friends. Everwood, you got Ephraim. His bully is Bright, played by Chris Pratt at the beginning of season 1. Then they become best friends and roommates, just like Rory and Paris did. Smallville, you got Clark, and you got Whitney.
Oh,
then they become friends. Then Whitney, he dies.
And then he dies, yeah.
So they always do this. So this kind of, I was kind of thinking of this. You always got your bullies, and then the become friends. But this is reversed, because usually it's the one who's getting bullied who's the main character. But here it was the bully himself, who we saw his kind of point of view as he kind of redeemed himself. So that was what I was thinking of. Thinking of my WB shows, my teen dramas.
It also felt like a Lifetime movie.
How's that?
There, for a while there, Lifetime was pumping out all kinds of movies about bullying.
I guess there was Cyberbully. I did see that one.
There was I'm trying to think of the one that I used to watch with my dad. Oh, Odd Girl Out, which was a bunch of mean girls, and one of them tries to attempt suicide. It's the whole thing. But it just kind of felt sort of like a Lifetime movie in some of that, because it was like, okay, Lifetime, yay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's kind of a teen drama, I thought. It's kind of like, I felt like I couldn't decide while watching the movie, like, is this a romance or not? I guess.
Yeah, that was the other issue.
Not quite. And then Naoka kept showing up, and that was a little annoying, but overall I did like it. I thought I had some pretty good scenes, like when he saves her from killing herself, and kind of the various scenes of them hanging out, like going on the subway together, walking, checking out the weird little museums and stuff.
Yes.
It was pretty good stuff.
I did like his broccoli-haired friend. I did enjoy him.
Yeah, he's a pretty nice guy. He's always defensive of Shoya. He's like, Shoya is my best friend, and don't you hurt him.
He's like the friend you really do want to have. He's just nice and wants to have fun, and
he's just all in on the friendship. He's the only one who doesn't turn his back on. For some reason, I'm almost more annoyed with Miyoko, because Naoka, she's a bitch, right? She's up front with it. Then Miyoko, she plays nice, but then she stabs in the back.
Oh, she's a dirty bitch.
She's like, he's the bully.
She is.
Get the fuck out. You can't trust someone like that who will flip it on you. At least Naoka's up front about being the bitch.
And let me tell you, Zeolith, they do exist.
Them bitches.
They're the sneaky ones. They're the ones that you want to watch out for. The ones that are like, oh, I couldn't do anything wrong. Fuck you. Oh, I couldn't do anything wrong. He did it. Yeah, they exist.
That's more like the feminine bullying energy. I mean, I know Naoka's a chick, but she has more like the masculine bullying energy. Yeah, she's up front. Miyoko, she's conniving.
She's a mean girl. She's a mean girl.
She's posing as a nice girl.
She's a mean girl. You're a bitch.
Yeah, overall, I did. I dug the movie. I would recommend people check it out.
Yeah, check it out. It's good.
Any thoughts on the dub of this one, the English dub?
It's fine. I mean, I thought it was good.
I thought the Shoya, the main guy, did a good job, like in the scene where she's gonna kill herself and that kind of thing. And also reading the actress who dubbed High School Shoko was actually a deaf actress.
Oh, so okay, because I felt that felt really authentic.
Yeah, that was pretty good, and the moms did a good job, and all around. The only thing that was a little weird was the fact that Yuzuru was posing as a boy, but clearly was a girl's voice. That was a little weird, but overall, I like this one too. This is all around two thumbs up for me so far. How about you?
I liked it. I might check it out again just to kind of,
Well, and then we could check out her other movie, Liz and the Bluebird. Also,
yeah, that's a good idea. Definitely
another high school movie. Shall we move on?
Let's move on, man. Let's go.
All right. What do we got next?
We've got Weathering with You.
And this is directed by Makoto Shinkai, who's actually becoming a pretty famous anime director. There's a whole bunch of films. There was a list. It looked like he directed 5 or 6 things or something so far that we could look at. But the one that stood out to me was Your Name, which we watched last year. And for the record, I mean, we might review it at some point, but I'll say I thought Your Name was excellent.
That was good. I remember that one. Yeah.
A little body swapping, seemingly a body swapping comedy, but then it turns out to be not so comedic as it goes on.
Yes.
But yeah, we won't blow our load on that one. We might review it another time, but we'll move on to Weathering with You. This was released in 2019 in Japan, and it was released here in 2020 in the USA. It actually did sneak into theaters just before the COVID shutdown.
Damn.
I don't know if you remember, it was playing here in one of the little theaters, like in January,
We wanted
I think.
to see it too, didn't we?
Yeah, we talked about it. I can't remember which theater was playing in here in Santa Fe.
Was it like the CCA?
Yeah, maybe, which wouldn't mean anything to, anyone who's listening to this who's not in Santa Fe. But yeah, it was like one of the little theaters. Was it the same one they played Mary and the Witch's Flower at?
I think so, yes.
Where we met an actual witch outside.
I believe we met an actual witch.
When
that day.
I don't know, we might have to talk about that now because we might not review Mary and the Witch's Flower for a couple years because we were going to go see Mary and the Witch's Flower, and then we drove to the theater and we parked.
It was so weird.
And we opened at an actual, like, creepy, ugly old woman. Saw it and was like, the theater's closed.
And we were like, what?
So then we're going to, like, maybe we better go look. So I'm, like, opening the door, and then she, like, pokes out her head from a fence and is like,
and I was like, I think we should just go.
So we just we didn't see Mary and the Witch's Flower until it came out on DVD.
It was like a warning sign or something.
We're like, we don't want there's dark elements going on outside this little movie theater. But anyway, we got Weathering with You. Little story of a runaway kid who gets mixed up in some magical shenanigans. You want to take it away with a little synopsis here?
Yes. The boy's name is Hodaka.
Hodaka? Yeah, I believe that's right.
And he runs into Hina. Yes. Is that how you say her name?
He does. Now, first, he's on, he's running away from home.
We don't know why.
Why is he running away from home? We'll find that out later in the movie. No, we won't.
We will never find that out. That is a bullshit plot.
Part of me feels like we should have just ended the podcast. We will never find that out and just cut to the end of the podcast.
This is bullshit.
But no, he's on a boat and he's about to fall in the water and fucking die. Straight up fucking die at the beginning of the movie. When this dude, this kind of older, like cool type guy, Keisuke, saves him. Keisuke almost has the vibe of one of those like old like sci-fi anime protagonists, like the main guy in Cowboy Bebop or the main guy in Outlaw Star or something like that. He's just like like a cool kind of spiky haired guy, like 30 something, maybe 40, just like kind of like a badass guy. You know?
Yeah.
He has that kind of vibe.
Ooh, Outlaw Star. Love that show.
So then he meets Hina in McDonald's.
She gives him a burger.
She's working there.
She's working there. And she gives him a burger, and then they kind of just end that scene. He's just kind of either... he's looking for work, but of course he needed like an ID, and he doesn't have an ID.
What he does have is a gun.
He found a gun.
In a garbage can.
A gun.
Like, you ever just look in a garbage can, you find a fucking gun in there?
All the time.
I don't know. I've been on this planet 35 years. That's never happened to me so far. And I lived in Texas, where we have a fucking lot more guns than Japan. I think we got about 2,000 more times as many guns as Japan.
I mean,
and I never found a gun in the garbage. But how do I just find a fucking gun in the garbage?
Well, you're growing up in Texas. I'm over here in Alaska. We're hunting all the time.
You find a gun in the garbage?
I did not find a gun in the garbage. He finds that randomly.
He just keeps it.
It's
like, I have a gun now. Well, he thinks it's like a fake or something.
He's like, it must be a squirt gun. No, not really. No.
But yeah, he can't get a job at first. He gets a burger and a gun, but not a job until he goes and finds Keisuke in this little... It's kind of a pretty cool little office, actually.
Yes.
I mean, it's dirty, you know. It's not a classy office. It's just kind of like a little... Basically like a little house that's kind of like down in a little alcove kind of on a street, you know. It's like kind of like they sleep and eat there. There's like mattress, you know, like dirty dishes and like couches and computers around. And
you know, how it's structured, it's kind of cool, and I wouldn't mind living there.
Yeah, something like that. And they write about like urban legends, the occult. How do you say it? Occult.
The occult.
The occult. There you go.
The occult.
You got the grammatical skills that I do not have. I never learned to read.
Well, maybe I should advise you to go look in a garbage can and see if you can find a gun.
Find a gun. I think I might just find one. But they write about urban legends, the occult. like rumors, scandals, that kind of thing with Keisuke and his niece. Natsumi, who's voiced by Alison Brie, aka Annie from Community. And she's always accusing Hodaka of looking at her boobs, which, in all fairness, I don't think she's wrong. I think he was looking at...
He's full on was looking at him.
And she's trying to get another job, but seems to be stuck there. I don't know. It doesn't seem too bad. I mean, you kind of don't have to have a big commute to work, you know? Nope. You just get to write about...
Yep.
But then, so she tells Hodaka about a sunshine girl, and tell us what a sunshine girl can do.
A sunshine girl is basically a priestess or something that can bring out the sun. That's it. It just brings out the sun. Like, they pray, the sun comes out.
I think they talk about the opposite also, like rain girls.
There's
or something.
The rain girl.
But I don't think it ever really comes up in the plot.
No.
But then, so Hodaka finds Hina again, and she's like getting sold into prostitution or something.
Yeah, okay. Prostitute.
It's like some gangsters have her or something. I was kind of like, this came out of...
You know what? He was a pimp. He was definitely a pimp.
I was like, this came out of nowhere, but then he saves her with the gun. He like points the gun at the gangsters and is like...
And he's like, you're not going to shoot me, and then he almost shoots him.
And then takes her away. And then it turns out she's a fucking sunshine girl. She prays the rain away.
She like stepped into the backstory of it is she stepped into a shrine. Her mother was dying, and she stepped into a shrine and she prayed while she was stepping into it, and then she became a sunshine girl.
Now let's talk about the consequences of being a sunshine girl a little later. But then, she also has a younger sibling, like we previously discussed.
Her brother is a player.
He's got like multiple honeys. he's up to his fucking ears in sweet honeys.
In one bus ride, he's with one girl, and then she gets off, and then another girl gets on the bus, and then he's flirting with her, and oh boy,
no parents.
Parents.
She and her brother kind of live alone, and it's another place that also looks pretty neat to me. I'm like looking at all the little houses in this movie, and for some reason they all look like I want to live there.
Yeah.
Like none of them are like giant, like classy places, but everyone I look at, I'm like, that's a nice little place.
Yeah.
And I will say, just kind of comment in general, I think this movie probably has the best pure animation.
Yes.
Of the three we discussed. It's very beautiful. It's a very good looking movie. But anyways, then they basically open up a little like business together, praying the sunshine away, and it's a very successful business.
It is a very successful business.
It's so successful they actually had to stop because it's too successful.
Yes, because it was like the government or something was getting involved because they wanted the fireworks to happen, and it just got too big, way too big.
And she goes full Kiki's delivery service, and people are trying to pay her, and she's like, "Oh, that's too much.
That's much too much."
I'm like, take the fucking money, bitch.
Jesus, I'll be like, give me the money.
Bitch, take
Thank
the
you.
fucking money.
Thank you. So, everything's going well for a while there.
And even Keisuke hires them to make the rain go away so he can hang out with his daughter, who he's like divorced from the mom, or the grandma has the daughter or something like that.
Yes.
But she can't be in the ring because of her asthma, so gets to hang out with her. But so things are going okay. No, they're not. Now things go fucking mental. Now there's the biggest rainstorm that has ever been in the entire history of the universe. Just like rain, doesn't it snow too?
Yeah, it's rain, snow,
flooding the streets.
There's tunnels that are flooded.
Yet the police are still focused on trying to find Hodaka because they saw him with a gun in the.
And they're like, he's a runaway, and we need him.
I mean, the whole city is flooded. I mean, not like a little water. I'm talking like the entire streets of the city up to like waist level water. You think people's houses had to be washed away? People's cars, there had to be people dead in their homes. Old people drowned, children drowned. Nope, the whole police force is still searching for Hodaka.
Oh, by the way, we get a flashback. You remember the flashback?
Tell us about the flashback, Pearl.
The flashback is Hodaka in an apartment with his mother, and he goes, "Oh, look, the rain is turning into fish." And she's like, "That's nice." And it ends.
Yeah, I thought that he was going to be like, "Mom, the rain," and then they were going to beat the shit out of him or something like that. But no, he's just like, wait, that's when he ran away from home?
He ran away from home because they didn't believe him. I mean, come on.
I mean, going by this movie, when I was a kid and I walked up to my mom and was like, "Hey, Mom, I beat Super Mario World," and she's like, "That's nice." I should have been like, "I'm getting the fuck out of this house. I'm not being around this house."
There he goes.
But anyway, so then they're in a hotel room, and so they're running from the cops, and Keisuke kind of quote unquote fired Hodoka. He's like, you can't be around anymore. Here's like a bunch of severance.
I'm gonna kidnap you.
Here's a bunch of severance money. You gotta go. So then Hodoka and Hina and Nagi, the little brother, all run away together. Well, the rain is going nuts.
Yes.
They get a hotel together, and then Hodoka and Nagi take a bath, right?
Yes.
So they take a bath, and then Hina takes a bath. And so the camera's above her shoulders, right? And I'm like, oh, there's no nudity in this movie. But then, wait for it, she does come out in the robe, and she does take the robe off in front of Hodoka.
Oh, yeah,
she does
so
get naked,
weird.
but it's not what you think. Her whole body is like shimmering, glowing water, like she's in the middle of a Sailor Moon transformation.
That's a great way to put it. That is the perfect way to put it.
So tell us about this problem of being a sunshine girl.
What I understand is that I don't know if you necessarily die.
You go somewhere.
You go to the heavens.
The rainy heavens.
You just go to the heavens. That's it.
Then that stops the rain, and the sun will come back out again. And he's like, "No, don't do it." But then she does. She, quote unquote, dies.
Yeah. See, you're doing the same thing. It's like, what?
And he's like, "Whoa! I thought we were just gonna like do it or something. I wasn't looking for this weird stuff."
Also, random moment when they're running away from the police. There's a truck explosion.
Oh yeah, that was kind of like. But then the police are like, we'll check in this for a couple seconds, but then we're right back to chasing this kid.
I just wanted to put a pin in that.
Yeah, that did happen. Yeah, it was pretty. He's going fucking mental. But then, so yeah, she's quote unquote died.
Yes.
And then Nagi gets taken to like a little orphanage, but his honeys break him out, so it's okay.
Yes.
And then Hodoka gets taken to jail. Then he breaks out too. He just makes a run for it.
Yeah, he's like a little greased pig.
Natsumi does grab him on her bike, and they're kind of going away together till it gets too wet, and he has to go on.
Yes.
And the police are just chasing
him.
all the way. Like they're chasing him like 20 miles across town.
And it's like
the whole town is flooded at this point. I'm not talking to like an inch of water. I'm talking about. All of Tokyo is a fucking Olympic swimming pool, and the police are still chasing this kid.
Priorities, right? Priorities.
No, we should say where he's going to.
He's going to the shrine, and he's gonna go get her back.
He supposes.
He thinks it's gonna be fine. I don't even think he thought of the like repercussions or anything like that. Like, what if?
He even finds the gun again.
Yes.
There's like 10 loose guns in all Japan, and this kid just can't stop finding them.
Jesus Christ.
It's not a nation of guns.
Some of these like little plot things that are happening don't make any sense. He deals with the police. His friend shows up, helps him.
Now, at first tries to stop him, actually, but then he just changes his mind.
He's like, go! And so eventually he gets up and goes through the shrine.
He's in the weird little rainy heavens.
And he's, in the rainy heavens. He finds her.
It was very lucky that plan worked out. That wasn't a very well-developed plan.
God,
it was like,
could you imagine?
I'll run 20 miles across town and go through a gate on a roof, and that will take me to the rainy heavens where my water friend might be after dying. That's a lot of leaps to make. I make a lot of plans in my life that aren't nearly that much leaps that don't work out. So he's lucky this worked out.
Agreed.
Then they fall.
For a very long time,
It seems like they're falling for like 5 minutes.
It's so long. And then they separate and get back together. And then they're like, we'll never leave each other. And guess what happens, folks? They make it back. They get separated, of course, because the police separate them. He goes back to his home, and she's somewhere in Tokyo, I guess, and he's not there's a restriction, a restraining order, basically.
Now, for a minute, I thought this was kind of like where the movie was going to end.
Yeah.
And then it's then we do a little skip ahead in time, and he says the rains came back, and they didn't stop. Then we show Tokyo, the city, and then he says Tokyo was completely underwater. And then we fade, and Tokyo is just an ocean with a few buildings coming at it now. And I'm like, oh,
He's like,
excuse me, what?
He's like, when I brought Hina back, the rains came back, and they haven't stopped since.
So basically, the whole world is gonna flood like Noah's Ark.
So we can thank him for that. Thank you.
Was it worth it? Was it worth it, Hodaka?
For some pussy?
I mean, there's no way that like people didn't die in this flood. I mean, there's no way that people didn't die. We saw how much damage happened over one night earlier in the movie. Now it's been going on for 3 years. Now people are losing their lives. They're losing their homes. They're dying. The economy's destroyed. The country's destroyed. Yes. People are drowning.
Yes.
Is it worth it?
No.
I know you want to fuck this sunshine girl.
No.
No pussy's that good.
No. I'm so... My face, and Zeolith witness, my face, I don't even think, like, I wish I could just, like, show you my face. It was shocked and appalled. And
then the shock, the hits didn't even stop coming during the movie. We've been learning things since watching the movie. For example, Hodaka goes to buy a ring for Hina, and he talks to this little jewelry saleswoman, and we didn't think too much of it watching the movie, but then later I found out that girl is Mitsuha, the main girl from Your Name, right? So in Your Name, she and the guy, they're working real hard to save the village, but doesn't matter, the fucking village is underwater now.
The village is underwater.
I mean, maybe it's outside of Tokyo, but it's not like Tokyo's the only place that flooded. So Mitsuha and the boy, they worked so hard, because it's in the same universe.
You guys.
They worked so hard to save the village.
You guys.
Doesn't matter, it's the whole fucking lake now.
I have to say something. I just found this piece of information out last night. And boy.
That's Mitsuha. It's the same voice actress in both Japanese and English and everything.
And then when you piece it all together, all that hard work just gone.
In another movie. It's like an extended universe. This would be like if, we had, what are these superhero universes? We have like a Superman movie where he saves the world. Then the next Batman movie is revealed that actually, no, what they did in that movie caused Superman's efforts to be in vain anyway.
Gone. They did all this stuff. And we'll talk about that one of these days.
Your Name. But we'll know it's for nothing because the town's underwater now.
And it breaks my fucking heart.
Because it wasn't the town on, like, the water?
Yes,
So, yeah,
Tim.
It's definitely underwater.
Yes.
It's definitely underwater.
Yes,
nice
it is.
job, Hodaka. You blew it.
It was a crater.
You blew
Oh, my God. Thank you, sir, for making my life miserable now.
So then Hodaka and Hina, they reunite, like they're like on like a little bridge. They're like, hey, we're back together. I'm like, get back together after destroying the fucking world. So,
I hope you like what you see.
Nice job there. So what are your overall thoughts on Weathering with You, Pearl?
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. The animation, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The dubbing, beautiful.
Pretty good dub. What do you think about the music videos?
Oh, shit.
Why don't you describe the music videos?
Okay, so it kind of would happen at random, and it felt like the movie was ending. It really did. I was like, oh, is this the end of the movie?
Every time it would fade the yellow like text on screen.
Yeah,
like,
so
is
like
this the credits.
Because this is something that you would see like at the end of an episode of a show,
like a TV show.
And I was like, is this the end? Okay, and it would go on for like 5 or 6 minutes every time.
Yeah, I talked about how the quote-unquote music videos in Wolf Children were nice and subtle. These were not nice and subtle.
They had like text and everything.
By the time like we got to like the 5th one, it just came on screen and we're like, oh my God.
It was like filler. They needed filler. Mm-hmm. So they were like, let's put these in here, and here, and we'll make them long each time.
But anyway, so, okay, said animation and voices, both good.
Yes.
All right, go on.
I will say... the story was fine until we decided to drown all of pretty much fucking Japan.
I mean, even then, before that, the story had some issues too, like this gun out of nowhere, and the cops who seemingly have only one focus as their city's being destroyed, and the
priorities.
And then we got the niece also. We got Natsumi trying to find a new job constantly.
Yeah.
I'm like, just focus on focus on your career.
Hey.
Were you looking at my boobs? Whoa. And
Boobs.
here's another one where they don't kiss either here. But I don't think he deserves a kiss. He deserves to go to jail. God. Turns out the cops should have kept him in jail. Then the world wouldn't have got destroyed.
No kidding. They were, for once, they did something. They were trying to do something right.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah! Don't forget that weird dish they made.
Which one was it?
It was like fried rice with ramen and potato chips.
Oh yeah, that's right. She like put some fucking like Lay's in there. And I was like, this little.
And a raw egg on top.
The egg, I probably want it cooked.
You want the raw yolk on your fried rice?
I want the little ramen bowl they make in Ponyo.
Oh God, yes.
That's the good stuff.
The soup. You know what? In Wolf Children, when he's making the udon, that looked good. It was like pheasant with udon.
Yeah. Pretty good food there. Pretty good cake and cake in a silent voice.
Yeah.
Food and Weathering with You a little questionable. The McDonald's burger, I'd rather have that.
There's like the perfect burger, and there's no such thing as that.
I did like the McDonald's is kind of in like a future style building right there in the
yes.
The overall, this one went in some weird directions. I think it, there is a room in the storytelling universe for people whose selfishness like causes like bitter consequences. This in a way themes that Shakespeare used to write about. But I feel like this movie raises those questions about their selfishness destroying the world, but it doesn't answer them. It still wants us to kind of like root for them at the end, and I'm like,
I don't root for them in the end. I
why?
Don't bring her back. No, definitely not. Mm-mm.
And if it was like an examination of people who are so selfish in their love that they destroy the world, there'd be room to tell that story. It's kind of an interesting story to tell. It's been examined in certain things before in a way. Think about Robb Stark going and getting married, and that consequences of that bring down the entire Northern Army. And but it does show the consequences. It shows the consequences for the world, but not for them. So I don't know. It's a little questionable. That's my review of Weathering with You. It's a little questionable. What do you think?
The ending just pisses me off. It just really does. It's like Dragon Quest all over again for me.
Well, at least it's not you're watching a movie about sunshine girls. None of this is real.
But I will say this. Now knowing the fact I found out last night about Your Name and Weathering with You and how they're connected, it really makes me mad. Before I was just like, well, thanks, asshole. Like now, like most of these people have been basically killed off. The body numbers just keeps on rolling and everything, and everyone has to kind of do this new lifestyle of, we had trains and stuff like that where they can't do that anymore.
Now
boats.
we all Venice now.
We all
except Venice is probably completely underwater, not even any buildings.
Thanks. Good job. You destroyed Venice too while you're at it.
New York City, it's toast.
Thanks.
We're probably okay here in New Mexico, but we're a lot closer to the coast than you used to be.
It's going to be like full-on Waterworld. Did you watch that movie?
Actually, no, I guess because the Gulf of Mexico would probably come in through Texas and come pretty close to New Mexico, actually. So probably we're pretty close to the new coast.
Have you seen Waterworld?
I have.
It's going to be like Waterworld, thanks to him.
We drinking our pee now.
I used to like that movie as a kid.
You know it. King Costner. God Costner. All right, well, I guess that about sums up Weathering with You, in case you got any other thoughts.
No.
All right, well, let's do our classic 3, 2, 1 ranking.
Oh, Jesus.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I think you should go first.
All right, number 3, we just discussed it, so I don't need to go over the reasons again. I'm going to go Weathering with You. How about you?
For number 3?
Yeah.
I am with you there.
All right, that's kind of what I figured. All right, now it'll get a little interesting. We're going to go for our number 2 before we do our number 1s. And I'm curious what order you're going in. Number 2, I'm going to go with Build Up Suspense, I'm going to go with Wolf Children.
Oh, interesting.
Which, like I said, definitely a thumbs up. Totally recommend it. I did think that, it got a few issues, kind of like the old man drops out. There's the whole rainstorm at the end. But I did like seeing the family come from, college girl and her boyfriend up through kind of the older daughter herself is getting towards high school age. So, it's kind of like an epic spanning, what would you say, like 12 years, something like that? 13
12
years. So that's kind of nice seeing that family develop. So, yeah, definitely. I really like the farm sequence in the middle. I thought, in a way, that's my favorite part of the movie, which is kind of funny because that part really doesn't even... It's not the wolf-centric part, really. Yeah. The other parts of the movie are more about the wolf transformation. That's more about, like, farming. But, I really liked that. It made me think... Maybe they should just make an anime that's just like a slice of life thing on a farm. That'd be good. But yeah, I do like the movie, and I definitely recommend people check that one out. All right, what is your number 2?
My number 2 probably would also be Wolf Children. I think you and I are going to have like the same list this time.
Yeah, it seems like it. Why do you rank this higher than 3, but not quite number 1?
It was good. I'll say that. It was good. And, it gives you all the kind of feels, Animation's well done. And the storyline's good. I mean, there are kind of like you said, like there's missing stuff and everything. But I really, personally, to me, and I'm just going to go ahead and reveal my number 1, is I actually liked A Silent Voice.
I guess that's both of our number 1s. Was my number 1 because in general, I like stories of redemption. I like stories of assholes who become less of assholes. Like one of my favorite movies is The Last Samurai. It's about an asshole who becomes less of an asshole.
It's okay.
Spoiler alert for my novel I've been working on for the last year. It follows a very similar story arc of a selfish asshole who becomes less so over the course of the story. It's always kind of, it's your Han Solo story, right?
Yeah.
If you watch Cobra Kai, it's also the Johnny Lawrence story.
Yes.
That's the story arc I like. The asshole who becomes less of an asshole. Always good to watch. But that's why it's my number 1. Why is it your number 1?
I guess I just really like the storyline. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big fan of bullies, but it's, when it has like a redemption and there's other stuff going on, it also kind of inspired me to kind of want to learn a little sign language because it's just kind of a cool trait to have.
Yeah, and easier to study than it's ever been before with YouTube and stuff. That's pretty interesting thing. Yeah, overall, I really liked that one, and I liked Wolf Children pretty well too. So it's two recommendations from me, and one. How about you?
Go watch them. Just go watch them all.
Watch them all. Watch Weathering with You and see what you think.
It's better if you also watch Your Name.
No, it's worse.
I know.
Big time. All right, well, I guess that'll about do it for Trace Anime Podcast number 3, unless you have any other thoughts.
No, that's about it. We've kind of covered everything.
I feel like first episode of Trace Anime, we did 3 modern animes. Second one, we did 3 classics. Now we did 3 modern again, so I don't know if it's time to hop back in time and do 3 classics again next time.
Oh, yeah, I guess we'll do some investigating.
Think about it, see what's out in the 70s and 80s we can check out. All right, then. Well, I guess that'll about do it.
You all have a good night.
Unless you're listening to this over breakfast, in which case, have a good day.
Enjoy your coffee, tea, soda.
And don't hang out with any sunshine girls.
Milk.
Later, everyone.